Alright, so in this video I'll be showing you how I took this picture from this to this, right? So let me delete this. So first of all, there are a lot of things I want to do. I want to change the background. Now this is just for educational purpose, right? This in no way means that the background is not nice, but I just want to use this as an education material to show you what is possible, right? Anyway, so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this by pressing Ctrl J on my keyboard. What I'm going to do is just I'm going to come to select, and I'm going to come to subject. So I want to select subject. Why am I selecting subject? Just to make the background to be on a separate layer and the subject to be on a separate layer, so that doing that I can adjust both separately, right? So first thing I'm going to do after this is selected is to come to this place, to this market tool, this tool here, and right click and click on save selection. So I'm saving this selection because I'm going to use it later, right? So I'm just going to save and call it select, right? So I'm going to click on OK, then I'm going to zoom in. So this part was not selected, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to click this and click on, so this is polygonal lasso tool. So I'm going to click on this part. This one means that we're going to add to selection, so I'm just going to click here like this to add it to the selection. Alright, so next thing I'm going to click again and do save selection. Let's do select, click on OK, and let's zoom out. So we're going to do that again. I'm going to come to this market tool and just right click and do layer via cut, right? Now, like I said before, you're going to have the layer on this separate layer, and you're going to have the background on the separate layer, and the foreground or the subject on its own layer, right? With this, give us the ability to adjust the color of the background. So what I'm going to do now is just come and click this background layer. So let me name it. Let me call this background BKG, right? So I'm going to come here. I'm going to choose. So let me show you two ways. Let's say I want to make this thing. I want to make the background white, for example. So if you look here, you can see that there's an halo around her, right? Some white space. So to fix that, just what's it called now, just enable the background layer to fix it. Anyway, so I can come here, click on selective color. Now I'm going to click on this. Let me bring it out so you can see. I'm going to click on this here, right, and click here. This will create a layer mask, as you can see, clipping mask, sorry. So this will create a clipping mask, as you can see, it's clipped here, which means this is going to affect just this background layer, you understand? So what this means is that even if I take this up here, let me show you something. Let's say I put the background above the subject. If I come and I make I do like an adjustment, it's going to affect everything. But if I come here and click this, it's not going to affect the subject, it's just going to affect this layer, you understand? So I click reset, and I'm going to come to the neutrals, right? The neutral, because the background is gray, so I'm just going to take the blacks down, right? Then I'll come to the whites and take the blacks down like this. So as you can see, let's come to the blacks, take the blacks down. As you can see, now we have I've turned the background to become white. Anyways, this is not where I'm going to. So what I want to do, I'll come down here, I'll come to hue and saturation, right? Also click on this to create the clipping mask. So I'm going to come and click on colorize. Then if I click on colorize, it's going to try to change the color of the background. So I'm just going to move this into the purplish side, because I feel that will match the color of the hair. And I'm going to drop the lightness down a bit like this, right? Maybe reduce the saturation. So now we have what we have, right? So this is before and after. Okay, so now that we've done this, one thing we're going to do is you're going to fill you're going to fill in this black space, right? So I'm going to just come to the polygon tool and just fill up here like this. I'm just going to create a selection around the open space, right, so that it does not cause issue for us later in line. So we're going to come to edit and content aware. Alright, so this is done. I'm going to click on apply. Alright, so now that that is done, what you're going to do, I'm just going to create another selection on this part just to take away this block looking thing here. I can just come to patch tool and just drag it down, and that will solve that for us. Alright, so now I'm just going to bring this up, right? So now we have this. Alright, so now what we're going to do next is to create a okay, one more thing I'm going to do. Let's if you look here, look at the eyelash, you can see the remnant of the previous background. So how to fix that? I'm going to create a new layer, then I'm going to choose the brush tool. You can either use a brush tool or the close stamp tool. Let's use the close stamp tool and come here and change this to darken. Alright, so we're going to change that to darken, and we're just going to reduce the flow and click Alt on your keyboard and just alright, so since that is done, what we're going to do now is just create a stamp visible layer. So we're going to press Ctrl Shift Alternate E. Ctrl Shift Alternate E create a stamp visible layer. So even if I turn these layers off, it's going to, everything I've done here is just going to create a snapshot above, right? So far this is before and this is after. So what we're going to do, let me just save this. I'm going to come to frequency separation, and we're just going to do this down to, let's use 2.8. Click on OK. Alright, so now what we're going to do is just turn off the high layer and just brush on the skin tone, right? Okay, so one thing I need to mention in this video is that the brush I use a custom brush, right? When I mean a custom brush, I use an hair brush. So what happens is that the brush you use, let's come here. So there are certain settings, right? Brush settings. There are certain settings that determine how your brush behave, right? There are certain things that determine how your brush behave. So it's not as if the normal brush won't work, but I prefer using this hairbrush for my missile brush retouching. Anyways, I don't know if you understand. So now I'm just going to brush on the skin. Okay, so I just did like a rough work. I need really put in time to do it, but you get the idea. If you have been watching my videos, you know that you already know how to do this, right? But if this is the first time watching, I recommend that I'll put a video up for you to check out next to learn how to use mixer brush and frequency separation properly. Anyway, so yeah, so this is before and after. So I'm going to come to filter, image dynamic. I'm going to go to portraiture. So what portraiture does is just help me soften the skin out small, and like areas I miss can just smoothen those out, right? Alright, so now we have it this before and after. um so the next thing we're going to do, let me save this. What I'm going to do, I'm going to press Ctrl Shift E to merge these two down. Ctrl Z, I don't want it to merge with the background layer, so you're going to Ctrl Shift E, so Ctrl Shift E to merge these two down. Anyway, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create a new layer, come to this blend mode and change it to color, come to my brush tool and pick a color. Like so, I pressed Alt on my keyboard to pick a color. So remember that the last time we saved the selection, so I'm going to call up those selection now. I'm going to come to this selecting tool, right click and come to load selection, turn this to select and click on OK. So the reason I'm going to have this because I don't want the what I'm going to do to spill out onto the background. If you don't restrict it, so as long as there's a mask, there's a selection around it, even if I do this here, right, it's not going to affect the background, it's only going to affect here. I don't know if you can see, right? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just bend this around. So what I'm going to do is reduce the opacity, then I'm going to bend it. So what this does is just even out the skin tone and make areas that would otherwise appear black to have some colors in it, right? So because I have the selection, I can easily do this because I know it's not going to affect the background, right? Alright, so let's do this. So I might just increase the opacity so I can see. Okay, right, so let's bring it down to this, right? So I think it entered the eyes. I can just erase it on the eyes, right? Alright, so you want to be careful not to paint around the eyeshadow now. I don't know what they call this, eyeshadow, so that you retain the colors of the eyeshadow. So next thing we're going to do now is I'm going to add start to do color grading, add a lot. Before I add a lot, let me brighten the eyes. So I'm going to come to eye accent whitening and click on it and just so what happened was that the selection was still on, so it took the mask from the selection. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Anyways, so I just turned back so I'll show you this. So Ctrl D to deselect it, right? Click on paste, accent whitening, and I'm just going to zoom into the eyes and paint. Paint over the eyes. Alright, so before and after, then I'm going to come and just click on a lot here. Let's do this. To brown. Let's do 4. Okay, this is okay. So what I can do is reduce the opacity. Right. Then add another one. Let's go down 16. Okay, I like what this is giving. So what I'm going to do is reduce the opacity and let's come to levels. Let's brighten it up a bit, right, like this. Let's bring this up a bit. I think I want to add one more. Alright, let me see how this looks. 15. Alright, I like the way this looks. Alright, let's drop it down a bit. Alright, so I would also like to drop the saturation of the whole image, or what I can do, let me use an action, this action called reduce red. So just going to reduce the skin tone, right? Let me just drop this down a bit like this. Okay, so let me put the color grade layers, put them on the group. So this is before and this is after. Alright, so one thing I don't need to do it, I don't like doing it every time, but I just want to talk about it because I see a lot of people do it wrong. It's like dodge a bond, like contouring dodge a bond. So let's come to the bond action and let's just give the nose a little bit of dimension. So what bond we do is create shadow or darkness, right? So what I'm going to do is reduce the flow. Yeah, I'm just going to paint around the edge here, right, to create shadows that make the nose have dimension, right? So but the key of using this is that you don't want it to be too much. You don't want it to be too much. You don't want it to be too visible in the first place, right? So I'm just going to come double click on this part here and increase the feather, right? So I'm going to increase the feather bunch like this, right? So I'm going to come to the opacity and also reduce it, right? So this is before and this after. As you can see, it's very minimal, but then the effect is seen, making the nose have dimension. This before and this after. I can still reduce it further, just so it's just a tiny touch, right, before and after, right? So before, after, so something like that. Something like that is good. So let's do this before and after, right? So just give the nose shape and dimension. That's all for that. Yeah, so last thing we're going to do, let's just blend this, merge this together to show the before and the after. So this is before and this after. So one thing I'm going to do, and last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to fix all this, especially this one, not all but just this one, because it's disturbing my eyes. So I'm just going to use the clone stamp. Let's increase and change the blend mode to normal and just blend here like so, just to remove it. Alright, so that is it. So this is before and this after. One more thing I'm going to do before I go is just to show you this, so I can also work on this. That's the Ctrl Z. I can also work on this, come to the clone stamp tool and also just, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase the hardness, right, so that it does not enter the skin so much. So just going to do this like this and then just fly away here. So there you have it, before and after, right?